So today guys, we are going to be looking at a drifting game, and that game in question is Highway Drifter Hajwala Simulator. This is a bold and fairly spirited attempt to bring the raw, unfiltered thrill of Middle Eastern drifting culture to the modern racing genre. This game was developed and published by a company called Madhook, and this game leans into a unique drifting subculture called Hajwala, blending light sandbox elements with physics-based car tuning, and some pretty high-octane drifting across a variety of environments. It's loud, it's honestly quite chaotic, and above all, it's unapologetically its own thing. So in this video, I just want to take a look at what Highway Drifter gets right, where it stumbles a bit, and where it stands in today's racing game landscape. And before we begin, I just want to say a massive thanks to the team at Madhook for supplying the channel with a review copy of the game, and all opinions shared here are in fact my own. So at its core, Highway Drifter isn't positioning itself as a traditional racing game. Instead, it captures the vibe of drifting, particularly the golf-inspired style of sliding sideways at very high speeds, balancing throttle, steering, and drift physics to maintain control while looking stylish doing it. Or at least that's the idea. It took me a while to get good at this game, and I was definitely not stylish whilst doing that. This cultural angle is more than just window dressing. It frames the entire experience around flair, spectacle, and, well, spectacle over strict competition. Rather than tightly scripted races or competitive ladders, rounds feel more like open challenges. You just pick a route, set your own pace, and try to master the drift through timing and throttle control as you weave through highways, mountain roads, and desert expanses. The game succeeds in making every run feel distinct thanks to its varied settings. Drifting through hot desert stretches feels worlds apart from battling dwindling traction on narrow mountain passes or winding city streets. Each map brings its own character and set of challenges, keeping the thrill somewhat fresh as you make your way through the game. From the start, you will have access and the freedom to tweak almost every aspect of your ride. You can adjust the engine power and torque, gear ratios, suspension stiffness, car weight, tyre types, as well as the visual side of things like the colours and tint levels, and if you want the bumpers on or off. The physics tuning system allows players to fine-tune handling to match their driving style, whether that's pure drift, drag racing, or low-speed cruising with some controlled slide. It's a satisfying sandbox feature that invites experimentation and kind of rewards curiosity. If you enjoy tweaking setups, you will probably find a lot to love here. Yet, despite this depth on the mechanical side, the game keeps its basic controls very approachable. Steering, acceleration, and braking are responsive enough that newcomers can get into the action without feeling overwhelmed. The control scheme strikes a solid balance between accessibility and simulation, which makes Highway Drifter feel welcoming to both casual players and more serious driving fans. Now, in terms of visuals, Highway Drifter of course doesn't aim for AAA photorealism, nor should it at its price point, because this game literally costs like £8. What it delivers instead are some pretty clean visuals that serve the gameplay well. Cars look distinct, some legally distinct like this legally distinct Mercedes and legally distinct Porsche, and the environments, especially these sweeping desert roads, offer a sense of space and atmosphere that's just enjoyable to cruise through. For the most part, the audio design is pretty good as well, fairly standard stuff with engine sounds, tyre screeches, it all sounds pretty cool. There are some areas where the game could improve on this. I noticed there was the occasional audio inconsistency. Like on the options menu, adjusting volume sliders sometimes didn't give you the result that you would expect, or adjust the volume in the level that you would have expected from that adjustment. And whilst I appreciate the visual variety between maps, the detail levels can vary from level to level. Overall, the presentation supports the play experience without distracting from it. The visuals may not be groundbreaking, but they are at least effective. Now the game does have controller support, and I've been playing the Steam version on a PS5 controller, and it runs pretty well. Whilst the Steam page doesn't mention official Steam Deck report, I've read some of the player reviews that confirm it runs really well, which is a plus for on-the-go driving sessions if that's what you're into. The game also released on PS4 and PS5, and they appear to have some generally positive impressions, with accessibility features and controller feedback supported, but I don't have those consoles nor the means to test that, so I couldn't give you my opinion. The game does also have wheel support, although reactions to this appear to be quite mixed from the reviews that I've read. Some players indicate it works really well, others say it feels super janky, but I guess that's down to what wheel you have, what your setup's like. It's going to be varied from person to person. So for me, this game's unique focus on Hajwala and drift culture, I'm really sorry if I keep pronouncing that wrong, it's been a clear highlight. I like how it embraces style and flair over rigid racing metrics, and it makes each session feel more personal than a race to the finish. I really like that all the cars and content is available from the get-go, which means you can experiment and tune on the fly, and whilst you're actually in the map drifting around, you can literally pause the game, adjust the tune or feel or look of your car, which is a pretty cool feature. However, it's not without some issues. I feel like the experience could be expanded with a bit more depth, such as some richer game modes, just because at the moment, basically all you have is just drifting down the highway, and that's kind of it. And I know that's the point of the game, but the game modes are literally unlimited drifting, timed drifting, or a health bar drifting, where if you crash, that's run over. That's it. There's also a multiplayer mode, but again, there's no real sense of competition except a scoreboard in the top left, and then you just drive about and maybe see some other players. Thankfully, when I tested this, I did actually join a lobby with 2 other players, so it's nice to see there are people playing this game. But I think to improve it, the game could use some structured challenges rather than just open runs. The game could also maybe do with some voice chat support in multiplayer, but that's up to you if you'd like that or not. So before we finish up, let's just go over the strengths and where I would say the game needs to improve. So starting with the plus sides, this game has some pretty engaging drift physics. The heart of the game, which is the drift control, feels satisfying. The moments when your car perfectly arcs through a corner or between a gap between 2 other vehicles, it's really exciting, it's thrilling, it kind of makes you feel like you're in the early Fast and Furious films. The physics engine delivers a balance of challenge and reward that kept me coming back for just one more run. I'm also a massive fan of the freedom of customization, and I think for this price tier of the game, the level of depth of that customization is really impressive. It caters nicely to both players who like to tinker and those who just want to jump in and change the colour of the car. The environments, although sometimes lackluster, are still impressive in their variety, from desert highways and mountain roads to the city streets. It adds freshness to each run. And also, this is a game that has multi-platform accessibility. So that's always cool, because a lot of these indie racing games that I end up covering on the channel are usually PC exclusive, so it's nice to see some that cover a couple of consoles as well. Now on the other side of things, while the drifting and customization are fun, the overall content loop does get kind of old quite quickly. If you're looking for structured progression, a story mode, or longer challenges, well, you won't find that here. The other major thing is it's nice that multiplayer does exist, but it would be nice to have some richer social features, like some events, community events, voice chat, so on and so forth, because like I say, at the moment you just join a multiplayer lobby, you just go on one of the preset maps you've already played, and just do the same thing open-endedly. It will just show your score next to another player's. Which is nice, don't get me wrong, but it could certainly use a lot more depth to make it long-term engaging. But again, this is an indie game with a price point of below £10, so I probably shouldn't be too harsh on it. Especially because what we do have is a pretty solid foundation. So overall, Highway Drifter is an exciting niche entry into the racing/driving genre that boldly embraces a unique cultural style of drifting. It doesn't try to mimic mainstream racing titles, instead it offers a lean-spirited experience centered on control, customization, and some pretty expressive driving. If you love tinkering with car setups and enjoy stylish physics-based drifting, there's definitely a lot here to enjoy, especially at its affordable price point. The variety of maps and broad range of tuning options give it replayability, even if you may wish for deeper content structures or polish in some certain areas. Ultimately, I would say that Highway Drifter earns its place as a fun, well-crafted indie racing/driving title with its own identity. It definitely doesn't redefine the genre, but it certainly brings some fresh flavour and energy to that road. So let me know, will you be playing this game? Have you played it already? Share all your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this review, please don't forget to leave a like, and if you haven't done so already, please consider hitting that subscribe button to stay up to date with all my future reviews and retrospects. A massive shout out to my Patreon subscribers for the continued support, and all I really have left to say is thanks and goodbye.